This new Nissan Leaf is an EV bargain. I'll include a link to the Nissan in Salt Lake's website in the description down below. They're providing us with the Leaf. If you have any questions, just ask for Paul. Let's go right into the video. This week's giveaway highlight is a supercharged Silverado High Country and a Corvette Z06. If you're interested, use code BHC or click the link in the description down below or in the pinned comment to get 4x bonus entries on any donation $25 or more. This has a 75 kilowatt hour battery pack. It is front wheel drive, 214 horsepower, 261 pound-feet of torque, and then 288 miles of electric driving range. We're closing in on 500,000 subscribers. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help out with that. Now, the new hood design is very boxy, especially compared to the previous gen Leaf. And look at these lighting elements. You can tell they're definitely going for that futuristic look. And then the front end, like most EVs, is mostly closed off. You got the new Nissan logo. Altogether, I think that this is a good looking car for the front end. Tire wheel setup is 215 by 55 by 18. Very interesting design on the wheel with the silver and the black. Again, mostly closed off for aerodynamic efficiency. You guys can see the little charge port here on the side. The actuation with everything is actually really easy to use. There's actually a whole nother charge port on the other side. That is pretty cool. And then here's your side profile. It's a hatchback, so being a short wheelbase hatchback kind of looks like a bean. Now when it comes to key fob features, we've got the Nissan logo or lock and unlock function, and this is Nissan's newer key fob. And then popping into the rear, the hatch, it's hydraulic. This is interesting. Got space underneath the floor for storage. Oh no, I messed the whole thing up. There we go. But yeah, this is a compact car, so it's got some space, but not a crazy amount. It does look like with how the seat and the floor meet, you do get a flat load. That's nice looking with the taillights. You can see how it kind of arcs up and across too. That will cap things off for the exterior. Funky door handle. Let's pop inside. Now when it comes to the door panel, you've got some soft touch here. I like the little finish on the window control. Soft touch continues on the seats. It looks like we got blue seat belts. That is popping. Yeah, legroom's definitely cramped. Again, this is a compact car. But we do have some vents in the back, USB ports too, and then headroom back here is good. Pop-out door handle for up front, and let's check it out. Blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. You got this kind of like cloth trim at the top. All of your mirror adjustments, window controls, and then more of that soft touch trim. And then here's the seat perforated down the center. You do have your power adjustments and everything there on the side. The front passenger seat's manual with the adjustments. We do have our lane centering set up there to the left of the steering wheel. And then take a look at the steering wheel itself. Soft touch all around. Paddles on the back. And then practical controls on the front face, including cruise control. You've got your volume controls, and then this is for the screen. So right now it controls that screen, but I can switch it to control the infotainment system. Get you a look at the real world glare. Yeah, being a full digital gauge cluster means you can customize kind of what information this displays. And then there are some drive modes. With this, eco mode's probably what you'll use most of the time. Really nice 360 camera system. It does have good resolution too. And then as for the rest of the infotainment system, shortcut bar here at the very bottom. And it's actually pretty quick to respond with everything. That is nice. So yeah, functionality on the screen is great. And then you do have some like little kind of buttons below that are kind of part of the screen, but you can also do the heated seats in the screen. It's just interesting that they have these physical-ish buttons below it. And speaking of physical buttons, you've got your little tuner dial for the volume camera, and then yes, buttons for the transmission select, drive mode, and then your E-step, that's like your one pedal drive. Lots of space in this center section. Phone charging pad too. Got some storage. I do like the trim there on the top. Same thing on the dash. You got more nice trim there. Just a regular rearview mirror with the manual dimmer. And this is where the Leaf is exciting, if you ask me. So 2026 Leaf, and there you go, $36,780. Let's see how the Leaf performs. Let's set off in the new Leaf. This type of EV excites me personally because, you know, the super expensive ones are fun and all. They got like 10 billion horsepower, 0 to 60 in -5 seconds. You know, you actually go back in time because they're so fast. But, you know, this is what regular people are going to be buying, is these more affordable EVs. So it's interesting to see what automakers are offering, what they're not offering. I find it interesting that this doesn't have all-wheel drive. I think that most people want all-wheel drive in an EV just for the kind of like, because you have so much torque just to get grip. And, you know, obviously here in Utah where we get snow and stuff, it's nice to have all-wheel drive for a little bit of extra grip in the winter time. Yeah, torque steers a little bit. Does a little whoop whoop. It's not horrible, but noticeable. This is not me, by the way. That's all E-step. So pretty rock solid there. It doesn't have acoustic glass or anything like that, but it's still pretty quiet. Again, this is supposed to be like an economy EV, but also it shows you economy EV over 30 grand. But at the same time, I mean, Toyota Corollas are now like 30 grand. Isn't that crazy? So we are starting to get to that point where EVs and ICE cars are still a little bit more affordable, but we're almost at the point where ICE cars are about the same price as the EVs. I mean, if you look at hybrids, it's even closer. And I'm not talking about plug-in, just standard hybrids. Because you look at like a Honda Civic hybrid, it's a front-wheel drive car, it's like 32 grand for a one that has like similar equipment to this. So I'll be interested to see what people end up choosing once there is that price similarity. Now, one thing to note, right, the tax credits are going away, so that is something else to kind of note. This drives really well. I mean, with almost 300 miles of range, I mean, this is only, the thing that's weird though is that's only indicating, it says 98% charge in 215. I wonder why it's indicating so little range compared to what it's supposed to have. You know, a lot of people are going to knock me for this, but I actually like Nissan's UI with their new cars. I think that it's actually pretty good. It's not the best. I think that Tesla's still kind of... Now, Tesla doesn't give you a gauge cluster, but I do think that Tesla still kind of has an edge with their whole infotainment system. But I do prefer having a gauge cluster versus everything in the center with this type of car. The only car that I've ever driven that I didn't mind that the gauge cluster was in the center was the Ineos Grenadier, but that's because it's like an old school off-road type SUV, and you can see over the hood really well, whereas this, you're kind of in the car, so it doesn't work the same way. At least I don't think it works the same way. Absolutely seamless. So in summary, is this like a real threat to Tesla? I mean, it's impossible at this point for any automaker by themselves to take on Tesla, if you ask me. That being said, I do think that this is a really nice, more affordable EV. It's got good range. Hopefully you get more than what this is indicating right now, right? But yeah, on paper it's supposed to get 288, right? So good range. The interior's nice. The tech is pretty good. So yeah, it's good packaging. It's a small car. That is one downside with this over like a Model 3. The Model 3's got a bit more space. So let me know your thoughts.